Hello, this is Cho of the Shiny Colors Discord. Welcome to another episode of the Shiny Review. Today we have 3 cards to talk about. A new Produce SSR for Asahi, Support SSR for Kirikou, and Support SR for Tenka. Keep in mind that Asahi and Kirikou are limited. They will not be returning after their banner is over in a couple days, so if you want your copies now, this is your only chance to get them until maybe a rerun 2 years from now, or any paid-only banners that may pop up over time. Starting things off, we have Asahi. Our second limited of the year already, Asahi 5 is the dance version of Asahi 4. This means she's a unit that can attack all judges, applies upwards of 5 active dance buffs onto herself, and acts as the win condition now for Dance Straylight, being a prime target for Fuyiko and Mei to set up to send judges into oblivion. Under fairly lenient circumstances, her passives are all straightforward and easy to use. She's real good. Now granted, Asahi 5 needs a fair number of pieces to truly ascend to a higher realm of existence. Based on many of the builds seen in Grade Fest already, Daikichi Kogane and cards like Christmas Jury or Wei Natsuha are vital to putting the build together. Missing out on Trick Fuyiko can also hurt, but there's plenty of other options. Also, the Asahi supports are good for your Mei and Fuyiko and any other card you choose to run alongside Asahi, so that's one extra piece to consider. For the Produce side of things, all I can say is be prepared for a Fuyiko 2 rerun this year. They're really gearing up for it, it feels like, and it will be vital if you want to play Dance Straylight. Her roles are Attack All and Buffer, and I highly recommend pulling for this Asahi. Asahi's initial skill is a Dance 2.5 appeal to all judges that raises your dance by 5% for 10 turns, 5% for 7 turns, and 5% for 4 turns. This links into a Dance 50% buff for 5 turns, and Dance 20% up for 10 turns. The max version of this skill is a Dance 4.0 appeal to all judges that raises your dance by 10% for 10 turns, 10% for 7 turns, and 10% for 4 turns. That links into a Dance 50% up for 5 turns, and Dance 20% up for 10 turns. Asahi's 1-star passive is a Dance 50% up that requires Asahi on your team, and it has a 30% chance to activate 3 times. Her 2-star passive is a Dance 75% up that requires the turn count to be 4 or earlier. This has a 30% chance to activate 3 times, and this also unlocks a Dance plus 50 uncap. Her 3-star uncaps are a Dance plus 50 and Dance plus 150, and her 4-star passive is a Dance 120% up that requires 5 or more active dance buffs. This has a 30% chance to activate 3 times. Her memory appeal, once maxed out, is a Dance 50% up for 5 turns. That links into a maximum Dance 4.5 appeal that removes all active dance buffs and scales based on those numbers removed. Remember that means that the maximum number required to remove is 4 to reach that 4.5. For the support recommendations, the lineup of dance supports nowadays is fairly stacked, so feel free to mix and match supports as you feel. Natsuha and Jury together are proving to be a lot, and Daikichi Kogane is an even better Morning Glory Jury for dance teams, so let them have it if you have all the necessary pieces. Now, in terms of backup options, if you lack Natsuha and Kogane, Mei is a permanent option for your mental idea and does synergize with your Straylight supports. There's plenty of other Hokura cards that you can try to fill in gaps, and the recent Meguru acts as a solid option for building as well. Realistically, the supports you pick will align with whatever Produce cards you choose to run alongside Straylight, so consider that when picking your supports as well. For the team recommendations, Dance Straylight is an interesting case at the moment, as right now your choice of Mei really doesn't matter. Many of the top teams are opting to pick Mei 2 or Mei 4 depending, as they offer good bonus points, and by using Trick Fuyu and Train Asahi appeals can serve as a dance unit no matter what their initial kit is. It just so happens that Mei 2 and Mei 4 have passives that relate to dance, but realistically they aren't using either of her appeals. It's all more or less to set up Asahi and Fuyiko. Now as for the rest of the team, there's no concrete build yet. You may choose Antika cards if you prefer lower health strategies, and it can synergize with the Antika supports you may choose to build with. The same logic applies if you opt for Alstroemeria or Hokura as your core support cards. If you're truly aiming for the higher ranks, then always keep an eye on the bonus point situations for Produce cards. You may have to be rebuilding every so often, but that realistically goes for a lot of teams climbing to the top. On to the grades. Asahi as a center earns an A+ to an S-. It's the usual sort of issue. If we had a meta that could more actively support this type of memory appeal, it'd actually be very appreciated. If you've pulled or plan to pull for Fuyiko 2, then Asahi as a center is irrelevant to your matters, and you'll focus on her as a dance unit. Otherwise, it's pretty okay. Not amazing, but it's fine. As a unit, however, S+ to double S-. Naturally, Asahi earns high marks for being a powerhouse unit with plenty of options for both Stray Light and other teams, even if there's going to be a bit more building around Asahi specifically once you branch out outside of Stray Light. She only doesn't hit the highest of marks for losing her memory gauge boosting, but otherwise will be a staple for Dance Stray Light moving forward, signaling the swing to Dance as the big teams to fear this year. At least, that's how the first couple weeks have been gearing up. Next up we have Kirikou. Our limited support SSR is Kirikou, where we have to eventually decide on a short name for this card like every other support we've gone with. We almost went with Nyan Nyan as an alternate reading to Jojo, and considered Sofa Kirikou, but that one, depending on your background, is a little funnier than it needs to be. So maybe we'll go with Couch Kirikou as the safest choice. Otherwise, Jojo sort of overlaps with one of the previous Kirikou cards, so I don't know. We'll play around with it. Now, all jokes aside, Kirikou is a very useful SP battery for 3 separate rooms, has decent stamina support odds, especially helps Vocal Antica, but thankfully is generic enough to be used on any Vocal team that sees themselves losing 25% HP. That being said, her passives aren't exactly awe-inspiring, so she ends up being more of a generally good card rather than a broken card, which to some is a bit of a deterrent, but otherwise she's a good pick. Her support skills are Idol's Bond, Promise Recovery, Rest Boost, and Stamina Support, and she has 4 unique support skills. Unit Mastery SP, reaching +6 at level 70. Vocal Mastery SP, reaching +12 at level 80. Radio Mastery SP, reaching +10 at level 80. And Photo Mastery SP, reaching +10 at level 80. Her support appeal does scale, starting at a Vocal 3.0, working its way up to a 3.5 at level 80. Her TFD idea is Vocal, her Insight Token for Grad is Vocal, and her proficiencies and landing point are in Vocal and Dance. Kirikou's 1-star passive is a Vocal 40% up as long as it's turn 4 or later. This has a 20% chance to activate twice. Her 2-star passive is a Vocal 75% up as long as your mental is 74% or lower. This has a 10% chance to activate 3 times. Her 3-star uncap is a +100 to Vocal, and her 4-star appeal is a Vocal maximum 6.0 that scales based on how low your attention is, and offers a Vocal 35% buff for 3 turns. Her event bonus is a +50 mental uncap. Kirikou earns an A+ to an S. She's a really good Vocal option for Vocal Insight and Grad. While she doesn't pack as much of a punch as other Vocal supports of her tier, she makes up for it with her ability to be very easily splashable in a lot of Vocal teams, while also being a fairly coveted combination of Insight plus Attribute for building purposes. If you needed a new SP battery, now's your time. I moderately to highly recommend pulling for Kirikou. Lastly, we have Tenka. Our event SR this time around is Tenka, who is visual through and through. Frankly speaking, Tenka is a pure filler support that's here to fill out Tenka's surprisingly low count of SR supports, as she doesn't have enough major positives to consider kicking a unit off your team for her. If you're desperate for a visual support, you can maybe use her, but those situations are very few and far between. Focus on the fact that we get more Osaki content through the story. Her support skills are Idol's Bond, Promise Recovery, Rest Boost, and Trouble Guard. Her unique support skill is Visual Mastery Visual, reaching +5 at level 65. Her TFD idea, Insight Token for Grad, and Proficiency and Landing Point are all visual. Tenka's 1-star passive is a visual 12% up that requires you to be in the visual position and has a 30% chance to activate once. Her 2-star passive is a visual 20% up that requires it to be turn 3 or later. This has a 30% chance to activate once. Her 3-star uncap is a +50 to visual, and her 4-star appeal is a visual 2.5 that applies a mental 5% heal. Her event passive is a visual 8% up that requires Tenka on your team and it has a 30% chance to activate twice. Tenka earns a C-. Again, a very forgettable support. Her 4-star appeal is not going to be saving you all that often unless it's a real pinch situation like Grad, but you may not even bring Tenka along for that because she's an SR. As I mentioned earlier, you will most likely get this support just to fill out the list, and you get some more Alstrameria content as well, so enjoy the reading. You might as well farm for Tenka while she's here. That will do it for the video today. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. It's been a little bit of a busy week, and trying to balance everything with the shorter gacha cycle this time around has been a little funky, so apologies if this video seems a little bit late. Next time we'll be talking about whatever banner comes next, so let's look forward to it together. I've been Cho, thanks for watching, have a wonderful rest of your day.